When I went to pick up my wife and mom from the airport, only my mom showed up. "Where's Bella?" I asked, but my mom just grabbed my arm and hurried me toward the parking lot. "She's still in Somali. Santa Catarina, it's a city in Mexico. She wanted to spend some time away from you and her work." But my wife literally sat on the bathroom floor while I pooped because she wanted to spend more time together. "Why?" "Well, Michael, if you must know," she cut me off. "Bella and I found this lovely women's only therapy retreat. She's finally dealing with that trauma from college she never told you about." That night, I grabbed my laptop and searched for a women's retreat until my eyes burned from the blue light. Nothing. And when I texted Bella, her messages were brief, almost formal. "I'm fine, Michael. Love you." She'd never talked like that. Never called me Michael. I tore through her things looking for any sign of where she could be. And when I pulled open her wardrobe, my blood went cold. Almost every drawer was full except for her thong drawer. Over 100 Victoria's Secret thongs completely cleared out. My hands were shaking when I called my mom. "Hey, what's up? Why is my wife's underwear drawer empty, Mom?" She stammered, clearly not expecting me to see that. "Well, Michael, it's a hot country. She didn't want to get a UTI. She took what she needed. She took 100 pairs of underwear to prevent a UTI." My voice cracked. Enough games. Where the F is my wife? She's choosing to extend her stay. She needs this time. I hung up and knew something was very, very wrong. The drive to the police station was 10 minutes, but I made it in 5. The officer was a large man with a pride flag badge, his fingers stained with Doug Hut icing. As I explained my wife was missing, the officer yawned. "Sir, does your mother have texts from your wife?" "Yes, but then she's an adult making her own decisions. We can't investigate someone taking a vacation." In a matter of minutes, I found myself knocking on my mom's door, and she came out with a smile. "Hey, I was just about to text you. Bella told me she's willing to call you today, but only if you promise to stay calm." 20 minutes later, my phone rang from an unknown number. Bella's voice filled my ear, but something felt weird. "Hello, Michael," she said, and my stomach dropped. She never called me Michael. It was always Mike or baby or babe. "I'm doing well. You need to give me space. I don't know how long I'll be gone for. Just trust me, because the retreat is helping tremendously." Her laugh came next, that beautiful sound I'd fallen in love with. But it arrived after 2 seconds of silence, like someone had pressed play on a recording of her voice. "Bella, what did we have for dinner the night before you left?" I needed to hear something only she would know. There was this pause too long before she said, "I'm focused on healing right now." When I started rapid-firing questions, my mom ripped the phone away so violently that I stumbled backward. "Give me the phone back." I lunged forward, but she jerked away. And that's when I saw it. A Cartier bracelet on her wrist where her old silver one used to be. My eyes traveled down to her shoes, Louis Vuitton. My mom, who clipped coupons, was now wearing shoes that cost more than our mortgage payment. She practically ran me out of her house, but I didn't go home. Bella's parents lived 40 minutes away, and they'd always been like second parents to me. But when I pulled up to their house, there was a Rolls Royce in the driveway where their old Hyundai used to be. Her mom answered the door wearing diamonds I'd never seen before. "Michael, what a surprise." Her smile was too bright, too forced. "Where's Bella? Have you heard from her?" I pushed past her into the house. New furniture, new TV, everything upgraded. Her dad sat in a leather recliner that probably cost more than my car. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Your daughter is missing and you're sitting here in luxury." My voice cracked. "She's not missing," her mom said quietly. You knew. You knew what happened to her." Her dad finally looked up, tears in his eyes. "It's not like that. She's being taken care of. She has a new life now." "Where is she?" They exchanged a look. "We can't tell you that. It was part of the agreement." I stumbled out of there, my vision blurring. I drove back to my mom's parking down the street and camped out in my car. As soon as she left the next morning, I used the spare key she hid under the rock to sneak in. Something told me to check her closet. The carpet was littered with handbags, Chanel, Hermes, bags with tags still on them worth more than my car. I found receipts for jewelry totaling more than her yearly income. I was in the middle of photographing everything when I heard the garage door open. The front door slammed and I froze. My mom stood in the doorway, her face white. "Where's Bella?" I was practically screaming. Her face crumbled for just a second. "Michael, you don't understand. It was the only way." "The only way to what?" "Where's my wife?" She opened her mouth, tears starting to fall. "Michael, please don't be mad." Her face went from white to red, tears running down her cheeks as she kept repeating those same words like they would make any of this okay. I couldn't feel anything except this cold, sharp focus cutting through every other emotion. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. I told her she had one chance to tell me everything right now or I was going to the FBI, the state police, every authority I could find. That broke her. She collapsed onto the floor right there in her hallway, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. The words came out in gasps. Bella wasn't in Mexico. She never was. My mom had helped arrange for Bella to go somewhere for an opportunity, something that would help everyone financially. I felt my stomach drop. 3 months ago, a woman had approached my mom at her salon. She was well-dressed, professional, and had a proposal about exclusive wellness retreats for women. She claimed they paid huge referral fees for bringing in the right candidates, numbers so high my mom could hardly believe them. The woman even showed her supposed bank statements from other mothers who had participated, pages of deposits that seemed unreal. My mom kept talking faster, trying to explain how legitimate it all looked. The woman had told her everything was voluntary, that the women were pampered and well cared for, living in luxury while working as wellness companions for wealthy clients. She said the women chose to stay longer because the lifestyle was so amazing. My mom wanted to believe it. She needed to. After some bad investments she'd never told me about, the money sounded like a lifeline. Listening to her, I felt sick. Every word made it worse. When I demanded to know where Bella actually was, my mom said she didn't know the exact location. Everything had been arranged through encrypted messages, and the woman who recruited her, with shaking hands, she showed me her phone. A contact labeled Wellness Coordinator. I scrolled through the messages, vague confirmations of dates and payments, but nothing specific about where Bella had gone or what she was doing. My own hands were trembling as I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recorder. I held it up where she could see it and asked, clearly, how much money she'd received for sending my wife somewhere unknown. She froze, then stared at the phone. I watched her face change as she realized how it sounded out loud. $15,000 up front, she whispered. They promise more later, bonuses for each month Bella stayed. My mom started crying, saying she thought it was legitimate, that Bella had agreed to everything, that there were papers, signatures, contracts. I cut her off. Bella would never agree to something like this without telling me, unless she was lied to or pressured. My mom's expression told me she'd had the same thought before, but she'd pushed it away because the money was too good. I couldn't stay there another second. I grabbed the photos I'd taken of the designer bags and receipts and walked out while she called after me. My car was still running in her driveway. I got in and started driving, no destination, just away. My whole body was shaking. I pulled out my phone and searched trafficking hotline. The first result had a number. I called while trying to keep the car steady on the road. The words spilled out too fast. Bella disappearing, the fake retreat story, my mom's confession, the $15,000, the luxury items showing up at everyone's houses. A calm, steady voice came through. My name's Mallory Witt, she said. Start from the beginning. I tried to gather my thoughts as she asked questions. When Bella left. When the money changed hands. Whether Bella had any way to communicate freely. I told her about the weird phone call. How Bella called me Michael instead of Mike. How her laugh sounded. Recorded. Mallory was silent for a few seconds, then explained that what I was describing could be labor trafficking, sex trafficking, or coercive control, depending on what Bella had been told and what was actually happening. The luxury gifts to family members were a classic sign. A way to keep people quiet, to make them complicit without realizing it. I could barely breathe. Mallory's voice stayed calm. She told me not to confront anyone else, not yet. If this was organized, they might move Bella or cut her off completely. I had to think strategically, not emotionally, even though all I wanted was to find her and bring her home. She told me to pull over somewhere safe. I parked at a gas station, hands gripping the steering wheel, shaking. Step by step, she walked me through what to do, how to document everything, save it in a secure folder, back it up to a cloud account no one else could access. I focused on her voice instead of the panic tearing through me. Then she gave me a direct number to a state police unit that handled trafficking and coercion cases. They'll have more resources than local cops, she said. I wrote the number on a napkin from my glove box because my phone battery was dying. She made me promise not to confront my mom or Bella's parents again until I'd spoken to law enforcement, because I'd already tipped them off that I was investigating. When the call ended, I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the napkin with the number on it. Eventually, I drove home as the sun was setting. The apartment felt wrong, too quiet, too empty without Bella's things everywhere. I plugged in my phone, opened my laptop, and started organizing everything I had: photos of my mom's designer bags and receipts, screenshots of Bella's strange texts, and the recording of my mom admitting to the $15,000. I even had audio of Bella's parents saying she had a new life now. I opened a document and wrote down everything since the day I picked my mom up at the airport: the empty drawer, the Cartier bracelet, the Rolls Royce, the handbags, all of it, with dates and times. By midnight, I'd sorted everything into labeled folders and backed it up 3 times. At 7 a.m., I called the number Mallory gave me. After a few transfers, I reached Detective Jang from the state police. I told him everything: the fake retreat, the money, Bella's disappearance. He listened carefully and said the payments and limited communication were major red flags. He gave me a secure email to send all my evidence, and for the first time, it felt like someone was actually taking this seriously. While checking our shared cloud storage, I found a file titled Wellness Intake Form. It started like a normal medical questionnaire, but quickly turned disturbing questions about debts, relationships, and whether anyone would notice if I went missing. The confidentiality clause basically forbade telling anyone about the program. It felt designed to isolate people. I saved it and sent it to Jang immediately. Then I checked our bank accounts. 2 days before Bella left, she'd withdrawn $3,000 in cash and paid off her credit card completely, things she never did. When I told Mallory, she said it was common in coercive setups. The recruiters often told victims to clear debts or bring cash entry fees to make them feel invested. My stomach twisted. Bella had been manipulated from the start. Mallory gave me a contact, Assistant District Attorney Judith Chandler, who specialized in fraud and coercion. I called her office and left a message saying Mallory from the hotline had referred me. While waiting for her call back, I started looking for a private investigator who could trace the money faster. That's how I found Fletcher Gonzalez, a PI with solid reviews and experience in financial crimes. I called Fletcher's office and explained everything: Bella's disappearance and the luxury items showing up at our family's homes. He said he could trace the purchases faster than waiting on court subpoenas. His rate was $200 an hour, which made me wince, but I didn't care about money anymore. I gave him my card and sent over all the receipts and photos. He promised updates within 48 hours. The next day, Fletcher called. He'd visited the boutiques where my mom shopped and shown them the receipts. Security footage showed my mom with a blonde woman in her 40s, dressed professionally. The woman paid for everything with a corporate credit card and escorted my mom to a black SUV with tinted windows. Fletcher got clear shots of her face and the license plate. The same woman appeared at multiple stores, always paying with the same corporate card. 2 days later, Fletcher called again. He'd traced the card to a Delaware shell company called Holistic Wellness Solutions, LLC. The company had almost no online presence, just a bare-bones site with stock photos and vague promises about luxury wellness retreats. No address, no real contacts. Fletcher said it screamed fake. I met with ADA Judith Chandler and brought her all the evidence. She immediately recognized the setup: shell companies, family referrals, controlled communication, all common in trafficking and coercion cases. She said these operations could run for years because they looked legitimate on paper. Using Fletcher's findings, she planned to request expedited subpoenas for my mom's bank records and anything tied to holistic wellness solutions. She warned the process would take time, but we were moving faster than usual because the red flags were undeniable. That night, impatience got the better of me. I called Fletcher and asked him to help me search my mom's house again while she was at work. We combed through everything until I found a folder hidden behind her winter coats. Inside were printed emails discussing referral payments, a contract on holistic wellness letterhead, and a burner phone. I turned it on, my hands shaking. The texts were about meetings, payments, and then Bella. One message said initial integration went smoothly. Another confirmed the first payment. The most recent one made my blood run cold. Subject is compliant and adapting well to the program structure. They weren't even calling her by her name anymore. I had to set the phone down because my vision blurred. Fletcher rested a hand on my shoulder and told me to breathe. Then he photographed everything: the folder, every email and contract page, each text on the burner phone, the call log, the contacts from multiple angles. When he finished, he put everything back exactly as we'd found it. He said we had to leave it for law enforcement to seize properly, or it could be ruled inadmissible later. I hated walking away, but I understood. From my car, I called my mom. She answered cheerfully until I told her I knew about the folder, the burner phone, and the messages calling Bella a subject. Silence. Then tears. She begged to explain. I told her she needed to decide right now: cooperate with the investigation or face charges as an accomplice. My voice sounded cold even to me. She finally agreed to meet with ADA Judith Chandler. 2 days later, my mom showed up at Judith's office looking wrecked. She placed the folder and phone on the desk and started talking. She admitted that a woman named Caroline had approached her at the salon months earlier, claiming to run exclusive wellness retreats. Caroline had seen Bella's photo and said she'd be perfect as a wellness companion for wealthy clients. She promised luxury, privacy, and huge pay. My mom got $15,000 up front. Believing it was all legitimate work, Judith listened quietly, then told her the truth. The shell company, secrecy, and payments were all classic signs of trafficking. She gave my mom 2 choices: cooperate fully or face conspiracy and fraud charges. My mom broke down and agreed to cooperate. Judith took her full statement: descriptions, contact info, payment records, everything. My mom swore she didn't know where Bella was, only that Caroline said she was safe and happy. The next morning, Fletcher called. He'd traced Holistic Wellness Solutions' rental history and found several short-term properties across different states, all listed under the shell company's name. One stood out: a rural house about 2 hours away, rented continuously for 6 months. I told Fletcher I was getting in my car. Fletcher told me to wait, to talk to Judith first, but I was already grabbing my keys when Mallory called, like she knew what I was about to do. She warned me that going alone could ruin everything. If this really was an organized operation, showing up might tip them off. They could move Bella or hurt her if they thought she'd talked. I wanted to scream that I couldn't just sit here, but Mallory's voice stayed steady. She said professionals had to handle this, people trained to intervene safely. Judith agreed when I called her. Local police didn't have the reach for something like this, especially across state lines. She contacted someone she trusted: Agent Zachary Wu from Homeland Security Investigations. He specialized in trafficking and fraud networks. 3 hours later, Wu arrived with a laptop and file folder. Calm, focused, late 30s maybe. He went through everything: the receipts, the shell companies, Fletcher's notes, my mom's statement, Bella's messages. His questions made it clear he saw this as part of something much bigger. After reviewing it all, he said there were clear signs of a network: shell companies, family-based recruitment, strict control, multiple properties. It wasn't just Bella. There were likely other victims. He explained they needed time to build a solid case, to get warrants, coordinate with other agencies, and collect enough evidence so the operation couldn't escape prosecution. A week, maybe two. Every day felt unbearable, but he warned that if they moved too fast, the group could scatter, and Bella might vanish forever. I had to trust him. The next week crawled by. Wu's team began surveillance on the property Fletcher found. I wasn't allowed near it. They watched from a distance, documenting everything. Women came and went, but always under supervision, dressed alike in luxury athletic wear. The place looked like a spa, but the control was unmistakable. No one ever alone, no real freedom. Wu later called me in to review photos. He spread them across a table, dozens of grainy images. I scanned each one, heart racing, until I saw a woman with Bella's build, the same tilt of her head. I told him I thought it was her, but I couldn't be sure. He said that was okay. The case was bigger than one ID. Then Judith called. The subpoenaed bank records had come in. The payments came from multiple shell companies, all connected to a small group through a web of LLCs. Fletcher confirmed the network had been active for at least 3 years, paying dozens of recruiters. Judith said it was clear now, this wasn't just about Bella. It was an entire system built to exploit women like her. There could be dozens of victims. Then my phone buzzed, a text from Bella's number. I grabbed it so fast I nearly dropped it. She said she was doing great and would call soon, that she missed and loved me. But it didn't sound like her, too polished, too controlled. I asked what nickname she'd given me when we first started dating. 10 minutes later, she replied without answering, saying she was focused on her wellness journey. That was all the proof I needed. Someone else was controlling her messages.